So I'm taking my resist that is in the shape of some boots, and they are quite larger than the boot that I'm going to end up with, obviously, because the wool is going to shrink and felt. That's the beauty of it. And I'm going to take some wool and I'm going to lay it, the first layer in one direction, as you're seeing. And then you're going to watch me, after this layer is complete, lay wool the opposite direction. And then again, the opposite direction. I'm going to do 3 layers per side of the resist of the solid blue color. The blue is what is going to be on the inside of the boot once we're finished. So once the first 3 layers are applied to the first side of the resist, I'm going to wet the wool, and I'm also going to add some soap, and I'm going to press it together and get it to slightly felt and hold together. You just touch it, don't rub it. Don't rub it, you just go like this. Let me add some water right there where you're at. Bye-bye. Don't rub it, do not rub it. No matter how much you want to, you just go like this, press it. Right now the wool is still very, very delicate. We're just going to push down on it like this. No rubbing it. Just push like this real easy. Not with your fingertips. No, ma'am. See?
Why, Mom?
Because that puts indentions in the wool.
Mom, look, you're getting your ring wet.
That's alright. It ain't going to hurt my ring. It's already been shrunk down and felted. It ain't going to felt anymore. Any smaller. Okay, here, let me see. So here I am adding some extra wool into some spots that as I was feeling around, they felt like they wasn't as full as the other places. So I'm just adding extra wool until it feels like it matches the rest of the pattern. So I'm going to press, and I'm going to just ignore the outer edges because I don't want them to felt that well right now, as I'll show you why in just a moment. So then I'm going to flip the pattern over once I feel like it's felted enough that I can do so safely without it falling apart. There we go. Now, after I've done that, I'm going to fold in the edges towards the pattern as you're fixing to see, and I'm going to try to keep it tight against the pattern, And I'm also going to try to keep creases out of it the best that I can. Some of the places ended up being a little bit too felted to fold over smoothly, so I had to work with it a little bit and even use some scissors in a couple places, and that's fine because wet felting is very forgiving, and that's a little bit more of the beauty of it. So once I get these edges folded in smoothly and tightly against my resist, I'm then going to add 3 layers going opposite directions of wool to this side of the resist as well. And then that will have the inside of my boot complete. The inside of my boot will be blue. Okay, just finishing up the wool layout for this side of the resist. And now just wetting it down and going to add some soap as well and press it all in, felting it so it will grab together, all but the edges obviously, like before. This time I'll add an extra piece of bubble wrap on the top so I can more easily flip it over. And you'll see the edges sticking out there, and I'm going to go ahead and fold those over tightly against my pattern and as smoothly as possible. Just keep working with it and working with it. It's one thing about wet felting is I always take my time because this is my de-stressor. This is my art. I love doing it. It brings me joy, it brings me peace, it brings me satisfaction, and I don't want it to be a stressor for me. And if I get in a hurry thinking I gotta get it done, then that seems to stress me. And that's not why I wet felt. So I always take my time. Paying extra attention to shape as I go. Now I'm fixing to add the 3 layers of the outside of the boot, which is like a blue and pink mix. And I did not show that on camera. I added 3 layers to one side of the resist, flipped it over, and folded in the edges tightly and smoothly. Added 3 layers, all in opposite directions, of course, on the other side. And then I worked it in, flipped it over again, and worked those edges in, folding the edges over, and tried to keep them tight and smooth against the pattern. And I just kept felting and felting on that outer layer. There's Indigo. She loves to help me felt. Here she is again. Okay, so once your project gets to where you can take your finger and rub on it and the wool stays pretty tightly in one position and doesn't move around much, then you're ready to roll it up. Not real tight because you don't want to get creases. Roll it up in some bubble wrap and a towel and just start rolling it. Roll it, roll it, roll it, maybe 20, 30, 50 times in one direction. Open it up. Check your project, make sure it is not getting any creases, work them out if it is, and then turn it in the opposite direction and do the same thing on repeat. Wet felting is a whole lot of repeat. Okay, once you get a lot of shrinkage and your project is nice and tight, you are going to want to cut your boots in the middle and create 2 boots. And if it helps, you can always use a ruler just to make sure that you get it evenly down the middle. Okay, let's remove our resist and start shaping the boot. This is the fun part. This is the part that I love. I love the whole process, but this process here is the part that I especially love, because this is where you see the magic happen, so to speak. I'm just going to work, rub, a lot of soap, a lot of friction, and I'm going to use bubble wrap too, and just anything really that will just give a lot of friction. I'm going to work where I cut that to heal the edges, so to speak. And it's just going to smooth all that out, make it grip together, and that way you can't see an area that looks like it's been cut with scissors. And pay attention as you are rubbing your boot, you're applying friction, working it, because you do not want to get creases. You want to keep your boot nice and smooth and shaped nicely. And pay special attention to the toes and the heels, because that seems to be where creases like to gather up. So although the whole process is known as felting, this step right here is actually called fooling because this is where the most of your shrinkage will occur and your project is going to start to take shape. Now here you just see me adding just an apple to the toe of the boot, and the reason why I did it was because I was having some trouble with some creases forming and trying to bunch up on me in the toe of the boot, and it was a little difficult to work out. So I added an apple in there and just pressed really hard against the toe of the boot from the inside, and then I started just rubbing really hard on the outside and worked that out of the boot, those creases. And then I did the same thing for the heel. I moved that apple to the heel of the boot and I pressed really hard from the inside, and then I just kept rubbing over it from the outside and working those creases out, paying extra close attention to those creases. So once I worked these to the point that I was satisfied and I didn't think that creases were much of an issue anymore, I actually threw these into the washing machine and did a cycle with hot water, and a lot of fooling and shrinkage happens when you do that. Once I got them out, I shocked them with some more hot water under the sink as I shaped them, and I did some alternating cold, hot under the sink and just kept working them and shaping them. This is what the boot looked like right before I put it into the washing machine and held it under the sink for alternating hot and cold. And then this is what it looked like after the sink and washing machine, and after I shaped it and shaped it and shaped it some more. I also felted this cord for it and added some beads to it, some wooden beads, and this is the final product. I am well pleased with how it turned out, and I hope that my granddaughter will be too. Thank you all for watching.